colleagues, I'd like to start out by thanking Tribal Relations and our guest speakers for those powerful presentations. And I also want to say that I'm delighted to join this council in declaring October 12th, 2021 to be Indigenous Peoples Day here in Portland. The purpose of this holiday is to celebrate Native American people, Native cultures, and Native American history. It's particularly appropriate for Portland to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. Humans have been living in this space that we know as Portland for about 11,000 years. Some of those first people were known by names that are still familiar to us today. There were the Clackamas, the Multnomah, and the Tualatin peoples, amongst others. In fact, until the middle of the 19th century, most of the people who lived in the Oregon territories were Native Americans. Now that changed with the Oregon Donation Land Act of 1850, which seized 2.5 million acres of tribal lands, including all of what is now Portland, and offered that land to white settlers for free. Now, Native Americans are not just part of Portland's past. Native Americans are very much part of who we are today. Today, more than 70,000 Indigenous people live in the greater Portland area, which makes us the 9th largest urban Indian population in the United States. And even today, Indigenous Portlanders face enormous challenges and discrimination. For example, today, poverty rates amongst Native Americans in the Portland metro area are twice as high as the poverty rates amongst their white neighbors. Native unemployment rates are 70% higher than the unemployment rates for white Portlanders. In Portland, more than half of Native students do not graduate from high school. And Indigenous Portlanders are the victims of violent crime at rates 250% higher than whites. Now, despite these challenges, Native Americans have made enormous contributions to Portland's economy and culture. For those of you who want to learn more about Native American culture here in Oregon, I encourage you to visit the Oregon Historical Society and the Portland Art Museum, which host excellent exhibits on Native American art, history, and culture. And if you want to participate in this year's Indigenous Peoples Day, there are several events you can attend. For example, on October 7th, the Native American Youth and Family Center is hosting a panel on running for office, which you can watch on Zoom. On October 10th and 11th, the Office of Community and Civic Life is sponsoring an Indigenous Peoples Day celebration at Friendly House. And on October 14th, NAIA is sponsoring Native Made Pop-Up in the Cully neighborhood. I encourage all Portlanders to attend these events, and I encourage all Portlanders to join me in observing this year's Indigenous Peoples Day. Thank you.